How's it going, everybody? This is Gene here with Entropy & Sons with another tutorial video for our synth, the Recursion Studio. In this video, I'm going to be going over the performance UI and trying to explain how we've designed the synth to be usable in a live performance context. So first of all, we have a HDMI display plugged in, power, we have a audio cable, and a video camera is also plugged in. And as always, we've updated the synth to the most recent software version. So let's get started here. The synth, as you probably know, has a couple of different UI views, and one of them is the performance UI view right here. And this is basically just a different graphical environment that we've designed for use in a live performance context. And one thing to know as well is that when you're in the performance UI, the mappings that are associated with the knobs and the buttons have changed. So we have provided some defaults that we think would actually be useful to you in a live performance context, but we'll get into that in a second. So first of all, kind of similar to you'll find in the play page, you have a patch selector grid. And there's a little bit of a difference. You can't just tap on one of these patches to load. You have to use the gold selector knob. And the idea is we want to prevent people from accidentally tapping on something in a dark environment and doing something they might regret. To the right of that, there is a preview window which you can actually tap on in order to get a slightly bigger view, and this is in case you can't actually see the display you're projecting on or displaying on at the venue, so it could come in handy. Underneath of that, you actually get a little display which shows you what's currently mapped to the knobs and the buttons. So right now we have 5 macro controls, and the first one, for instance, controls the fade parameter, which you can use to fade in and out the entire results. And there's also some lighting controls some color controls if you want to try to synchronize with the venue lighting. The last one over here controls audio reactivity. If you turn this all the way down, you deactivate the audio reactivity. If you turn it up, you make the audio much more visible. And one thing to know, so each of the patches has saved with it a collection of default controls. And if you hold down the shift button, it's actually going to expose the patch controls. So now we're controlling the patch controls, which are the same controls as you would get like elsewhere in the UI. And that can be useful for actually modifying a patch in real time. Underneath of that is a display which shows you what's currently bound to the 5 buttons, and we've come up with some defaults which we think would be useful in a live performance context. For instance, this one right here will just load the next patch. There we go. I have a camera plugged in, so this one is going to toggle the camera on. So now we can see vaguely that I'm doing something with the camera, but it is working. And it's definitely, you can push the shift button again to get access to the LFOs that are by default mapped to the current patch. And one thing to know is that all of these knobs and button mappings are completely remappable. So we've come up with some controls which we think will be useful in a live context, but you can change that at will if you have like a different collection of controls that you think are useful. But the general idea is that we think people are going to be wanting to do a different type of thing with the onboard controls in a live context than you would otherwise if you're trying to create patches. So if you're messing around, there's a save button, so you can actually save new content here. You can go to this automation settings for the screensaver if you want to have it run completely on its own. Quick access to the library where you can actually deal with tags, and you can filter this view right here by a particular tag or something like that. As always, if there's a little blue arrow right here, that means Shift is going to show you more controls. This will get you patch info controls and so forth. The manual is pretty detailed. Also, the help page right here will give you a lot more information about what's going on. But yeah, I think that's the general idea. The workflow is that we're imagining anyways, is that you go in and tag some patches that you want to use in your performance, and then you go into the perform view, and then you just have access only to those patches. I think that's actually it. Again, the manual has a lot more detailed information, but we're going to try to keep this video sort of brief. So stick around for the next one where we go over the create page.